My name is Levi Stamp. Some of you may know me as The Stamp Stories, and this right here is three launch titles, in my opinion, my uninformed yet humble opinion, the Nintendo Switch 2 should launch with just because. If you've been keeping up with the news, which of course you have, because that is why you're probably here, we saw the Switch 2 being revealed, and one of the first games that is due to come out on the Switch 2 is a new Mario Kart. And if I've still got my facts correct as of January 2025, I believe Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the number one best selling title for the Nintendo Switch. And in thinking about that, I believe that is the first time Nintendo have ever released a Mario Kart within the first year of a console being out. And in Switch's case, within maybe the first month, a month and a half. And as a result, it's sold like hotcakes. Like just it's hot like fish grease. Let's face it, there must be some of you out there who have friends or family or even foes who have bought a Nintendo console specifically just for Mario Kart. I'm technically one of them. That's one of the highlights I would like to buy a console for, just Mario Kart in specific. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. That needs to be one of the first. If it's not out on launch day, this new Mario Kart entry, it needs to be within the first month or two. Let's just capitalize on the buzz that Switch 2 is going to get on social media, in person, when it's out. Give people a brand new Mario Kart experience. It looks even better. It plays even better. If it can play any better at this point, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe really hit it out the park on the Nintendo Switch. But that's one. Two, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I think it's really important for a video game console to have a really heavy hitting single player experience that in this case you could take with you and just lose yourself when you decide to open it up, turn it on and play the game. For me, on the Switch, that was Breath of the Wild. It was just so mind-boggling to me that here's this full-blown 3D brand new Zelda experience that I can play on the big TV on this new console. And at the time I was working in my job night shifts from time to time, I would actually look forward to those night shifts. Now, I hope I'm allowed to say this, but I made sure on those night shifts everything was all sorted out. There were no crazy emergencies, no screens were flashing red. All my adult responsibilities were in order. When that was the case and we had a bit of downtime, I loved pulling out the Switch, setting up the little stand, pulling off the Joy-Cons and just losing myself in the game, but still paying attention to what's going on, but I still lost myself in the game. I loved those night shifts. Those were my favorite. I didn't mind night shifts before. I was built around that kind of stuff, but this just like, oh, I got a night shift coming up. Ooh, I'm about to get this gaming going. So I was really on point with make sure this file's been delivered. Make sure this process has been finished. Make sure everything is perfect so I could just throw myself to this game. I love night shifts. So a really good multiplayer experience, Mario Kart 1, a really strong single player experience, previously was Breath of the Wild. This time could be Metroid Prime 4 Beyond for the more mature or more serious audience, if you will. A third title, I'm torn on this. You could have something that demonstrates the capabilities of the Switch. So, for those that may remember, there was a game called Snipper Clips that really doubled down on the Joy-Cons and what they could do in terms of gimmicks. That's a cool launch title to, again, show off what the Switch can do. My first two titles on the Switch were Super Bomberman R and Legend of Zelda, very shortly followed by Puyo Puyo Tetris. Again, I loved that game. If we're gonna lean into my bias, I'm gonna say, could I get Wind Waker HD, please, for the third launch title? I know it's not gonna happen. People will be up in arms. Oh, great, we've got a recycled Zelda on, a brand new console. But I am the audience who never invested in the Wii U, unfortunately. And I can't bring myself in 2025 to walk over to a CEX and pick up someone's chicken greasy fingers. They never wash their hands, all crazy marks and scratches on a Wii U screen, a pre-owned Wii U screen. And I can't bring myself to emulate it. I can't bring myself to look up where to find it. I don't want to do any of that. Give me, in 2025, a legal, straightforward, I'm happy to pay money way to play The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD. I missed out on it before. I want to play it. That would be my favorite third launch title. I think the first two I've mentioned make sense, but that being the third launch title, right, that doesn't need to really be the case. I would like it, but it doesn't need to be the case. It should be something that demonstrates the capabilities of the Switch too. I feel like I've got a gun held to me saying this, but no. May I share something with you for just a moment? I'm not streaming this, by the way. I'm just recording this for YouTube's benefit. So don't be surprised by the blank chat window. I'm going to switch the source here. It is that one. Perfect. Right. So this is a look back at Nintendo console launch titles. This was a post 8 years ago made by Child of Valhalla, or if they didn't make it, they stole it. Whoever made it, shout outs to them. I want to zoom in on this, right? I want to zoom in on this. Every single actually, let's deep dive into this for just a moment. Can we deep dive into this? How do I move this over? There's a Mario Brothers there, right? There's a Mario Brothers there, a Super Mario World, a Mario 64, Luigi's Mansion, right. Zelda, yeah, Twilight Princess, big deal. Wii U, Super Mario Brothers U. I don't like that launch window. There's more titles than ever that launched for the Wii U, probably within the first month or something. And in my eyes, maybe I'm saying this a bit too harshly. Maybe I just wasn't there to experience it, but those games suck, man. No. I'll tell you what it is. There is a distinct lack of first-party Nintendo titles here that make me go, oh my God, I need this ASAP. Now, it's not really too different with the Switch, but Breath of the Wild was that much of a big deal that, you know, the buzz on the streets was just, hey, have you got Breath of the Wild, etc. Super Bomberman R was a very welcome return of Bomberman after that was their 33rd anniversary, if I'm seeing that art right. I mentioned Snipper Clips here, which again demonstrate the capabilities of the Joy-Con. Puyo Puyo Tetris. This graphic was thrown together, I'm sure, before the Switch was released, because again, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe released within the first month of the Switch. Puyo Puyo Tetris was not available day one. That took a little while later on. The reason I wanted to show you this infographic is this feels like a very strong lineup. Not many titles, but still very strong. N64, I wasn't there for it. Well, I was there, but I had a PlayStation, but that's another story for another time I'll tell on this channel. Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64, both landmark titles for demonstrating what the Nintendo 64 could do. I have no idea what this title is, but this dude looks handsome. He's doing a lot. So you know what? Sure, let's just call that lineup strong. Short, but strong. GameCube was a very, very different launch experience. I wasn't interested in Luigi's Mansion. I was over the moon about Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2. I think that is a brilliant game, personally. Super Monkey Ball, cool. Wave Race, brilliant. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, brilliant. We'll skim over the other ones that are kind of irrelevant, okay? Let's skim over those. The Wii, when I look at this, I see 10 and under for launch window for what kind of games were coming out. And obviously there's one or two mature titles to try and set it apart, but this does look mostly like a kid's console. But that didn't really stop the fact that where is it? Where's Wii Sports? There it is. That thing, bundling Wii Sports with the Wii was just genius. That was the Christmas present to have. Like, Nintendo hit it out of the park with that decision. And then again, hey, here's something for the older audience who wants something to really get their teeth stuck into. Zelda Twilight Princess. I had WarioWare Smooth Moves. Yeah, I haven't really got much to say about the Wii. Wii U, you've heard me criticize it. Again, I don't want to really throw any shade on the developers who decided to launch on the Wii U. It's just, this doesn't feel like a very heavy-hitting launch. It feels like a lot of ports from other consoles that would have done these games better, if that makes sense. So, what did I see? A FIFA? A FIFA on Xbox or PlayStation at the time would have been stronger. Tekken Tag 2. a Ninja Gaiden. Again, I can see what they were trying to do here. There's games for everyone, but these are all games that had already released by that point in time on another console and were probably performing better. So there wasn't anything in my head that made me think I've got to go get this thing right here. Oh my God. Call of Duty is going to go crazy on the Wii U, said no one ever. Assassin's Creed, oh my Lord, I need the Wii U for that, said no one ever. You get my idea. The Switch. Yeah, I like the Switch window. I liked it. The first few months of the Switch 2 is going to be a bit dry. No, it's not, because it's backwards compatible. So I think a lot of our time is going to be spent on putting games that we had on the Switch 1 into the Switch 2. Does it perform any better? In fact, now that I've just said that out loud, I really hope Nintendo will elaborate on what will happen when you put a Switch 1 game into a Switch 2. Does it perform better? I've got better specs to work with. As a result, the frame rate on this game is going to be a little bit more consistent. It's going to look just a little bit more shinier. I want to know that. And I think there's going to be, like I said, hundreds of comparisons of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, Switch 2 versus Switch 1. Get ready for that bombardment. I'm not technical enough on YouTube to make that kind of analysis video together. But if I was a predicting man, if I was a man of the lottery, if I was a man who could see the future, I would think Digital Foundry would be one of the first out the gate to do a comparison video of this game on Switch 1, this game on Switch 2, and they would go into a technical breakdown of this is why it seems to be better. And you know what? I would watch that. I would happily eat my dinner and watch that at the same time and learn a thing or two. Right. I think I've rambled on enough for the last 10 minutes. So let me recap. 3 titles, 3 strong titles the Switch 2 should launch with, because why not? 1, Mario Kart. You know the reason why. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the #1 best-selling title. You know what? I just remembered. I went off on a tangent. Every other Nintendo console has not had a Mario Kart release on it within the first year of it being out, except for the Switch. And we saw what that did. I think we're about to see that same level of success again on the new console. And I'm here for it. I wonder if they'll do DLC as well. 2, Metroid Prime 4 Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Because having a really strong single player experience someone could buy a console for and get to see, hey, right now at this point in time, when the console is pushed, this game could look like this. That would be a very strong standout title. Breath of the Wild was just that, with how much you could see on such a small screen. They really did that justice. So if there's anyone in Retro Studios or affiliated with Metroid Prime 4, dude, take your time with it, but at the same time, do your best with it. If that does everything right, you could have a crazy hot seller on your hands there. I think Metroid's stock price, if you will, share price, if you will, notoriety has increased over the past few years with the release of Metroid Dreads, just Samus as a whole. I think the Metroid franchise as a whole has gone up in terms of recognition and likability with the Switch. The fact that I have the ability in 2025 to play Metroid 1, I think I can play Metroid 2 on the Game Boy NSO. I think I can. Don't quote me on that. Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, Metroid Prime Remastered, and Metroid Dread. 7 strong Metroid titles on one console. That's never really happened before. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Nintendo Switch has really been the swan song for all the series that Nintendo have decided to, over the years, release. So there's the most presence of Luigi's Mansion titles, Mario titles, Metroid titles, not Mario Kart, funnily enough. But that's okay. You get it. Zelda titles, yes, kind of. We only missing Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess, and then in theory, you can play Zelda 1, you can play Zelda 2, you can play A Link to the Past, you can play Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, You can't play Wind Waker and you can't play Twilight Princess, but you can play Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, The Minish Cap, Four Swords Adventure. I'm probably missing one or two other Zelda titles. You get it. You get it. This has been Nintendo Switch 1 has been the swan song for Nintendo series. How many times can I say Nintendo in a video? Ugh, tongue twister. And Switch 2 is going to be even better because of the backwards compatibility. So am I thinking way too out in the future? Is Switch 3 going to be the first one that cuts off that fantastic backlog? No. If anything, what Nintendo are missing, and maybe this should be a separate video, but what they're missing is a modern library way for me to play their backlog, the whole of their backlog, effortlessly. So an Xbox Game Pass, for example, you can play a lot of first-party Microsoft titles that are just there, staying there, living there. Xbox Series X/Xbox One X was the first modern way to go back and play Xbox 360 games and the Xbox original games, and there's a lot of backwards compatibility there. I must give kudos to the business plan to say, hey, if you get this one brand new modern console, you can play this plethora of a backlog. And gaming is one of the few mediums of technology where it's really hard for you to play a previous generation of stuff. You can still play CDs, I guess. You can get an Apple Music. You can pretty much download a lot of albums. You can buy a lot of albums, an iTunes store, a Spotify, Tidal, whatever other mediums of. There's ways to listen on your modern device depictions of music from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 60s, 50s. Like, just there's so many ways. You can't really do that on a modern console. There's not really a modern way for me to play, let's say, on the Super Nintendo, Top Gear on the Switch, unless I buy their collection. So I guess, there is a way to do that. But not in a one straightforward place where I go on one central store and I just get it from... No. Ignore that last part. I'm rambling right now. You heard me. I've said 2 titles. Mario Kart, Metroid Prime. The third title should be Wind Waker HD. I'm biased. It's not actually going to be that. It's going to be something else. I, for one, am looking forward to April 2nd, Nintendo Direct. Again, in real time, I will watch it with all of you on Twitch. I will record my reaction and such and stick it on YouTube, maybe add a little bit extra at the end of it. What do you believe the launch titles should be? What would you like the launch titles to be? Maybe you don't care altogether and you're part of the PC Master Race who, for some strange reason, have really slandered the Switch 2 reveal trailer, which is strange to me because I always pictured the PC Master Race above all of this, console that, but it turns out they're not. Maybe I should elaborate on that. I've seen some really funny news articles, reports, tweets, or posts, if you will, just negatively hitting, yeah, why would I want the Switch 2? I've got my Steam Deck. I'm like, it really wasn't for you in the first place. No, I'm going to save that for a separate video. For now, let's just take it easy. What would you like the launch titles to be? What do you think the launch titles should be? I'm hoping within the first month, Mario Kart, Metroid Prime, Wind Waker HD. If it doesn't happen within the first month, at least the first year. If that doesn't happen, I guess my prediction was wrong. Thank you for listening. If you like what I'm doing, same as always, like, subscribe, keep an eye on me on YouTube. I'm trying to make the channel grow. I'm going to take more of these videos going forward of just these thoughts that swirl around in my head and, just express them to you. I'll see you next time. Fingers crossed, Wind Waker HD. Put that into number 1. All right. I'll see you later.